So, good afternoon once again, Jessie and Oliver. And once again, this is your Google Classroom in CPT3 Fundamentals of Crop Science. So, I don't know if tatlo lang ba kayo or baka magdagdagan pa kayo in the future. So, for the meantime, ito yung inyong Google Classroom, and I will remind you of the course outline and grading system. So na-present ko na, and I have a video here, so you can go back to the video on how to comply with all the requirements of this subject. So once again, we are only up to 14 meetings since tatlo pa kayo, and if ever madagdagan, then we will extend then. So up to, kasi 4 units yan, and each unit has its own different. Andiyan na may mga video and modules. And also each chapter and meron na din yang quiz.
English.
So you just click on the Google form and then submit it anytime. Ang June yan is October 1. Ayan. I will. So ayan. Ito, October 1.
Assignment na, ma'am?
Every October 1 naman ang ano yan, quiz. So if we finish introduction, and then you can answer this anytime. Basta June niya, October 1. And then the unit 2,
Okay, ma'am.
andito na rin yung mga learning materials ninyo, and plus the quiz, which is also due on October 1. I guess ito din, unit 3 ay October 1, and unit 4, lahat ay due on November 5 and December 3. And your laboratory exercise is due on o pag gani ni mo na open ang lab exercise,
Ayan, open.
which is due on
Isod
January.
kayo.
No, it's just simple. Like when we click on the quiz, and let me know if you cannot access this, because I can just give you or send you in the email or type this one in your messenger group. So you just have to answer this one, type, and if you finish everything, you just send or submit to me. So ganyan na kasimple.
Google Play, sa ako naman.
This is on the
Google Class na may send?
Yes, automatic ni sa Google Class. So submit ninyo. But may fill in your email address. So going back to Google Classroom, ito na nga. Google Classroom. Yan. So yun yung quiz assignment ninyo. As you can see, if your names are already assigned with different tasks to be done, no? Balik tayo sa classwork. So on the last, which is laboratory exercise, I also made a video on what to do, because we had this last time talking about laboratory exercise, but I made a video for you to go back para maintindihan ninyo anong gagawin. Okay? And if you have questions or queries, you can just chat me anytime on the group chat. So if you don't have any more questions regarding Google Class or yung video meeting natin, class online, so I will proceed with the unit 1, which is introduction, to show you the topics and some videos. May tanong kayo?
Ano first mo?
Okay, so let's move on to the first 1A, which is climate change. Climate change. Okay, so Oliver, you have heard about climate change before, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what can you say about climate change?
Climate change, ma'am. Bago ng klima, ma'am.
Yes.
Yan nakasira din sa ating sa farm. Kaya nang sira sa tawag nito sa farm, and then may bagyo, tawag ng klima na sobrang init. Wala nang ma tawag, wala nang ma-absorb na water if hindi umulan, ma'am.
Yes, exactly. So you have already idea on what is climate change. So now, pag-usapan natin this afternoon, we're going to talk about the umalis na si Jessie. What is climate change in relation to agriculture? So I'm just gonna finish this. I will not really linger more on the presentation because there are videos to explain that, and I'm gonna show you later. So why agriculture is both a cause and a victim? So bakit? Do you know why, Oliver?
Ano,
Jesse?
ma'am?
Yes.
Asa na?
Why agriculture is both a cause and a victim? Like we agriculture, do you believe, yes or no lang ha? Do you believe that agriculture is also the cause of climate change? Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Yes, I will agree
Yes.
that agriculture is a cause of a climate change.
Yes, exactly. And do you know why?
Because it says here, ma'am, that via emissions of methane and nitrous oxides.
Yes, very good. And because of,
Sorry.
yeah, it's true. It's just being attentive and interacting with the class, not like only, it's not here in our discussion, it's not only me so talking a lot, unless if we finish the 14 meetings, then the rest of the videos are just videos about me talking about the subject matter or the lesson. So for now, you are very true, Jesse, no? It contributes by emission of methane and the nitrous oxide. And because of this, it will, in effect, affect the agricultural production, which is dramatically. Because if what happens when the temperature gets high, right? When the temperature gets us 50 degrees Celsius, what is the normal temperature now? Oliver and Jesse,
35,
35 degree.
35 degrees Celsius.
Yes,
Ali, tao dito to
no? But then if it
Ali,
exceeds, like when you go to Saudi Arabia or in the Middle East, where sometimes their climate
yes.
gets up as high as 50, 60 degrees, some of our plants gonna die, right? So if the climate change, because of climate change and its emissions, the temperature gets high and will affect the health of the plant. So in the next slide, you can see here the green gas emissions by sector. And this data was since 2004, which was published in 2007 by Barker and companions. So as you can see, which has the highest contribution or gas emissions? Is it agriculture, forestry, wastewater, energy supply, industry, or what? Oliver.
Wait lang, ma'am. Tanong ang screen. Wala ang screen.
So as you can see here, it's the industry, the blue one, because it has the highest gas emission. So yung mga industry, especially plantation natin, no, yung mga mga
No.
plantation which has different production system like yung mga fertilizer or yung cement and
Pan.
so on. And followed by no, it's actually the energy supply. This orange, is this orange? Yes, it's the orange one with the energy supply. Yung burning coal, yung sa atin kasi sometimes from waterfalls, natural. These are just natural energy supply. But for some, like we generate energy from the coal, so that's 20. They emitted greenhouse gas by 25.9%. So it's the highest, and followed by the industry. And next is by forestry.
Oh, masama sa
Okay,
very
forest
good.
areas has higher has higher. Sorry, Jesse, I have to mute you, huh? And I will just ask you to unmute it. So, and the highest, and next is the agriculture. So the main sources of green gas emissions in the agricultural sector in 2005, which was reported in 2007, are the following. So under agriculture, ito na naman ang mga main sources of emission. We have the fermentation, biomass burning, rice production, manure, and the highest is the soil emissions. So you always just go back to every slide when when you got to answer the quizzes, so you always just go back to the slides. So this last years ago, the Philippines have made a climate change agenda with the title the potential role of the academic and the research and development sector by Sanyo. So this is what they made in their presentation. Climate change is now the most cross-cutting policy theme. So around the world, lahat ay naka-attach na sa climate change issues. So under Republic Act number 9729, it's an act mainstreaming climate change into government policy formulations, establishing the framework, strategy, and program on climate change, or creating for this purpose the Climate Change Commission. So, meron tayong Climate Commission by Republic Act 9729. So, ito yung framework nila. So, as you can see in the framework, it's the National Framework Strategy on Climate Change. And until now, we are still mitigating on this. So, as you can see here, their vision is a climate risk resilient Philippines with healthy, safe, prosperous, and self-reliant communities, thriving and productive. Hello, John Ray. Hi. Can you hear me? So there are with the climate change, increasing temperature, changing rainfall pattern, and sea level rise, extreme weather events. So, yung impacts and vulnerability niya in the ecosystem, in the food security, in the water resources, even human health, infrastructure, energy, and human society. So, with this framework, we are able to adopt this through adaptation strategies like enhanced vulnerability and adaptation assessments, integrated ecosystem-based management, climate responsive agriculture, water governance and management, climate responsive health sector, disaster risk reduction and management, and climate proofing of infrastructure, and even mitigation, no? Like energy efficiency and conservation, renewable energy, environmental sustainable transport, sustainable infrastructure, and RED strategy, waste management. So with with these process drivers, the energy, the transport, the land use change and forestry, agriculture, and waste, so we can come up with a sustainable development in the ecosystem with a goal to build the adaptive, especially of communities and increase the resilience of natural ecosystem to climatic change and uh, optimize mitigation. Masyadong maliit, but I will read this to you. Opportunities towards sustainable development in the society, economy, and environment as a whole as an ecosystem. So, as you can see here, these are the cross-cutting strategies and these are the means of implementation. So, this is now the action plan of the agenda, which is, so I will just have another screenshot bago mawala na pod ang isa sa inyo for the attendance, okay? CTC. Okay, so this is the action plan to alleviate poverty through this is even until the time of President Aquino, no? Pinoy social contract, keeping the promise to alleviate poverty through creation of eco jobs and green jobs. Determine the total economic value of the environment and natural resources as a true driver of economic growth. So take note, bakit kayo nag-agriculture? And your role as an agriculturist or farmers are the key drivers, the true driver of economic growth. Preserve natural riches for the benefit of the present and future generation. So if there come a time that you feel like maybe you have your own farms, you have with you your own farms or may not have, but and sometimes when you feel down with your profession as an agriculturist, always remember that you have all the capability and you have all the interest to, and it is your role to nurture or to preserve the natural resources that we have for the present and future generations. So be proud of that na nag-enroll kayo dito sa agriculture. Right, John Ray? John Ray? Can you hear me? Okay, naka-mute ka kasi hindi kita marinig. Anyway, so on record, these are the 10
Yes.
Yes, John Ray. So,
Yes, ma'am.
these are the 10 warmest years on record from 2001 to 2010. So this is now is the 2020, but as you can see, 2005 and 2010 has the highest. Has the highest temperatures so far. So you can see here by legends and in the Philippines. These are called the climate hazard index. So in Philippines, among other countries, it has the highest hazard index and because of the rising temperature. So how warm can change in mean temperature would affect us, all the biological by living things, no? So by 3.4 degrees Celsius in 2100s, no? If it increase, it is expected to increase as much as that. So if we are like 40 degrees Celsius now, so plus 3.4, so that's gonna be the expected increase in temperature. So what is the projected impacts? So as you can see, may mga impact siya to food, water ecosystems, and extreme weather events risk abrupt and major irreversible changes. So as the temperature increases to 5 degrees Celsius and more, so what happens to our crops? It will fall falling yields and crop yields. What happens to the water supply, John Ray? Can you see the screen? So the
It's written
sea,
in
the
several areas.
yes, there is decrease in water, the water supply, but there is rise in sea level. How come, right? So if the temperature, because the scientists have been explaining this, that if the temperature gets high, the polar regions, the north and the north and south poles, and these are parts of the world that has ice, right? Glaciers. So if it's warm, then it will melt, and that's why the sea level will rise. And with that, the water supply will also decrease. And for the ecosystem, some species may not adapt to the high rising temperature, so they will become extinct, especially damage the coral reefs. So there are extreme weather events that we already have recently, although it's not here, like storms, forest fires we have forest fires in the earlier of January and February ba yun? Droughts, floods, and heat waves. So yun ang mga mangyayari. And we even have recently earthquakes and risk of dangerous feedbacks, abrupt large-scale shifts in the climate system. So to fast track, the next is, wait lang. Oh no, di na daw siya ma-erase. So to fast track, we have the next slide is about it's this will show you also the increase of the different wait lang. Erase ko muna to. So this slide shows you, sorry, going back. Ah. So going back, so there's also risk of different diseases now that includes water shortage, malaria, and hunger. So that's what it shows. Hi. So obviously, this shows the current pledges are not enough to stop dangerous climate change. So as we go through 5 degrees Celsius increase, so we have to deal with this 4 degrees Celsius warmer world and the impacts. So as you can see, we're expecting typhoons, stronger, wetter, and unpredictable. And because of that, more people are at risk. So this has been before with the Ondoy losses. So you can see here, this is brought about climate change and typhoons. So in the Philippines, we have top 20 provinces which are very at risk to climate-related disasters. And this enumerated as follows: Albay, Pampanga, and so on. So far, ito yon. So addressing the impacts of climate change involves greatest economic and social transformation. That's why they come up with the 7 climate smart outcomes on food security, water sufficiency, ecosystem and environmental stability, human security, climate smart industries and services, and sustainable energy, knowledge and capacity development. So that's why we need to educate people on this, because these are one of the strategies that we can fight back against climate change. Like for food security, we should make it available, stable, accessible, affordable, safe, healthy, insured, food insured with climate change. So how are you gonna do that? So the agriculture industry have a big role on that. For the water naman, it should be sustainable. And for the ecosystem, it should be resilient and stable. And for human security, reduce risk of population from climate change and disasters. And now we have a pandemic, so that falls under human security, and it has also to do something with climate change, perhaps. So, and we should be climate resilient, eco-efficient, and including our energy, because we depend more on the which are they which are dangerous sources of energy, like the ones that the sources of energy using coal, because it's one of the main source of, as you can see on the previous slides, one of the main cause of greenhouse gases. So in a whole, these are the strategies made: the IEC and advocacy, gender mainstreaming, technology transfer, research and development. So these are the major natural anthropogenic process and influences on the climate system addressed in scenarios. So as you can see, I will just explain to you so that we can finish earlier. So with the water cycle, the climate change variability and change, and its human contribution, it will affect all to the atmospheric composition. And it will always go back to the ecosystem through carbon cycle and land use and land cover change. And even reforestation for plantation and production is also one of the major area that we need to restore to protect the natural forest. So as you can see here, it's an empty mountain, and with this it's only the land cover, which is forest, are the sources of all of these genetic resources, ecotourism, landslide mitigation, sustainable energy, water security, and green industries, and overall food security. So in the marine areas naman, so we can only protect them by providing abundant fish and shellfish produce. So small fish should be allowed to mature, so no fishing areas. Bigger fish spill over to less crowded reefs open to fish. So that's how we preserve the marine areas. So climate change nowadays is not only an environmental issue, but more on social, economic, and political issue, because everything is already affected. So adaptation is equivalent to pursuing sustainable development. So we are all here. We are part of this for a mission to change the way we look at the future of this country. And crafting the National Climate Change Action Plan, we are all part of this trailblazing endeavor. And there's still time, but this time should start always, every day, and every now. So solving the climate change crisis means embracing change, everything change, even the way that we are pursuing our education now in a flexible learning way. And even solving the environmental crisis means building a better nation. So we should always keep on rising to the challenge, and together we can. So this is all about the climate change. So now I'm gonna show you just one of the videos that um, I have here. But before I proceed, do you have any question, John Ray? By the way, this video is recorded
No,
for
ma'am.
you, yeah, for you all, for you to go back on your notes, and every time that anyone is like anyone could miss it, like Oliver is gone now because of the technicalities. So do you have any question, John Ray?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we will talk about more when we finish this video, so you will understand. This is just a short videos on climate change, so you will understand. So, John Ray, what can you say about the video? Do you agree with what the video is showing? Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, exactly. No. So, did you also are you also aware that these things that are happening are also part of what is presented? It's about the climate change. Are you aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
so there is actually another video on about global warming. It's also a nice video, even nicer on the one that I have clicked. I just click it, so you can have more time by your own on watching the video. So you just click
Yes, ma'am.
on the following link. So we're done about this is just another documentary, no? So about coal power plants. So that's the main source of what I'm saying, the greenhouse gases. So we're done with the climate change. So do you have any questions? The next meeting we
No,
are
ma'am.
going to talk about biotechnology. So, John Ray, last time kasi, Jesse, are you also there? I asked Oliver to introduce himself, a little background, so I will know you better. So, can I ask also, if you don't have any more question regarding the topic that we discussed, can we also, um, can I also ask you to introduce yourself? Say something about yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Uh, I am John Ray F. Sarangsang, ma'am, living in Kalinan, Davao City. And